So according to Shams Charania, after several weeks of no conversation, the Knicks and Jazz have re-engaged in trade talks. As I made in a video earlier today, go check it out. The Hornets and Wizards are still pursuing Donovan Mitchell. If you want to hear my thoughts on that, boom, go. Shout out Shams Charania for this information and Tony Jones. Now, the Knicks and Jazz had fresh trade conversations this past week about potential packages for Mitchell, according to sources. However, there's no traction and a deal is not imminent. Okay, though the trade talks are a sign that the Knicks have made their interest in Mitchell abundantly clear, right? Shams Charania and Tony Jones. Now, the Knicks and Jazz seriously discussed the Mitchell trade during the Las Vegas Summer League, and then they stalled out, led to nearly a month of no talks whatsoever. Now, with training camp just over 1 month away, and if you guys watched my interview with Mike Verkanov of The Athletic, who was a former beat writer for 3 years with the New York Knicks, he said that the soft deadline for all the trades, the Kyrie, Kevin Durant, even the Donovan Mitchell, was training camp, which is going to start at the end of September. Now, with, like I said, with that being about a month away, the sides have talked again. And he said a lot of famous big deals that happened in the summer happened like a week before training camp, a week leading up to training camp. So look to the start of training camp for a Donovan Mitchell deal to happen. If a Donovan Mitchell deal happens, it's going to happen near the start of training camp. Regardless of what you think, that is what Mike Verkanov of The Athletic told me. Okay? Like it or not. That's what I was told. And I'm going to stick with that because I'm a firm believer that that could potentially happen. Now, obviously, we know Utah has this huge price for Mitchell, who they believe they are comfortable, or they've said they are comfortable with him staying as a Jazz or being traded. Mitchell, who's 25, is a three consecutive All-Star appearances, coming off a 3 consecutive All-Star appearance. That would have been better English. Now, he's averaged 23.9 points, 4.5 assists, and 4.2 rebounds over the 5 NBA seasons he's played. As you guys know, the Rudy Gobert trade made the price go up for anybody being traded in the name of Kevin Durant and Donovan Mitchell. They traded away Royce O'Neal. Supposedly they're going to trade away Bojan Bogdanovic and Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley. And we know that the Lakers are trying to get in on this deal. The Lakers are like, hey, if you guys want to trade Evan Fournier, Bojan, Mike Conley, any of your guys on either side, if you guys don't want those salaries, take on Russell Westbrook and we'll take all those players back, is basically what they're telling. But the Jazz have maintained they are comfortable keeping Mitchell into the season, potentially beyond, due to the fact that he has 3 years remaining on his contract. Now, things can get awkward if they wanted to make them awkward, which Danny Ainge has no problem making things awkward. Now, if I was in this situation, what would I want to happen? Of course, everybody and their mother would say that let's move Donovan Mitchell. Let's move Donovan Mitchell, okay? Because right now, that seems to be the best course of action. And I agree. At this point, I don't think keeping Donovan Mitchell, Bojan, or any of those guys is good. Let's just tank. Let's try to get Victor Wembanyama. I think that's everybody's goal at this point. Let's try to get Victor Wembanyama. And it's interesting because I don't know what's the right answer, okay? At this point, I think the best thing the Knicks might have, I think the Knicks should try to build supposedly. So I talked about the fact that they would not trade Derrick Rose in this deal, but Mike Verkanov told me, because I thought they wouldn't trade him because of the ties to Jalen Brunson being really close to Derrick Rose, and Mike Verkanov said, I don't think that matters. Yeah, it's a nice little story. It's a nice little niche, he said. But basically, he's like, you'd rather keep Evan Fournier, trade Derrick Rose and everybody else. That makes the salaries work. And keep Evan Fournier over Derrick Rose, who's kind of on the decline of his career. Which you know what? In retrospect, now that, I have that in my mind, I agree with him. It was kind of stupid of me to think that they would rather, not do that. But yeah, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. If you guys were in the situation of the Jazz or even the Knicks, I mean, we know the Lakers are trying to get in on this, but what is going to happen? I want to hear your thoughts down below. It's an interesting juxtaposition that we're put in because we don't know. Because there's no traction, no deals imminent, but it's around the corner. Let's look at every day that the Donovan Mitchell might be a Knick. What if the Nets came in and they were like, Here's Ben Simmons.